Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us here at Earth and Sky and joining us online as well. We are really excited to bring back for a second time Caitlin McPhail, who is a fantastic astrologer. I just love the wealth of wisdom that you bring in. Caitlin is joining us in from Kansas.
Yep.
And is going to be talking about some really exciting things. Lunar eclipse, solar eclipse, everybody's favorite Mercury retrograde will be happening all around the same time.
Favorite. I think favorite to talk about. I'm not sure favorite to do.
Maybe there's a little miscommunication in the way I said that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
So,
yes.
For the lunar eclipse. Yeah.
Yeah. So April is just depending on how you look at it, I'm a glass half full person. It's a very pivotal, exciting month.
Nice.
In astrology, or astrologically speaking. We just had, when we're filming this, we just had a lunar eclipse on March 25th, and that was a full moon. And that particular eclipse was actually linked back to October 2023, the 14th, around there. And so, kind of to check in with yourself, it was kind of a release point of what was going on around that time. So it could be like finishing something up. Maybe, you were dealing with someone or a situation or a problem or something might have been happening because it was in Libra. And so the culmination of it was actually March 25th. So that was the lunar, which we just had.
You know what's interesting as you say that, and I didn't know about this before, but I had been over the last few months kind of struggling with some being overwhelmed. And it felt like it was right around that time last year, right around mid-October, that for some reason I'm always on the go a lot. I kind of thrive on that fast-paced energy. But around October last year is when I started to kind of feel a little bit stuck in a certain way, kind of like I was stuck in and I couldn't walk at my normal pace, and I felt a little bit more stressed, I guess, maybe more anxiety. And I don't usually go that way. Usually the Reiki meditation, I just kind of love that fast-paced flow, but I really had for a few months kind of struggled with that. And it was interesting because I was paying attention to the lunar eclipse and just kind of noticing things. And I just felt like I springboarded from that moment forward. It was maybe a couple days before the lunar eclipse. Suddenly I had a burst of energy. I woke up early, and every morning since then, I've been waking up like 6 o'clock or so, 7 o'clock, and feeling like I'm excited again. I'm ready for the day. I'm moving forward and wanting to move forward again. Does that make sense with that Libra to Aries kind of energy?
Yeah, totally. Because Aries and Libra is about self and we, but importantly, it's kind of how we show up as self in all our interactions. And that can also be relationship with self, if that, because I too, have felt kind of stuck in some aspects of my life. And then for whatever reason, the few days leading up to March 25th, there was some stuff that had to like come out. But since then, my energy has been better.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So, and the thing with eclipses that's different, because you can use, new moon, full moon, and the cycles of it to do, manifestation or intention, and then releasing what you need to on the full moons. But the eclipses are a little interesting because it's got a karmic impact to it. So we don't necessarily choose it or have as much control. And in fact, the more we try to control what we're trying to change or whatnot, it usually will backfire. So I always tell people it's best to just kind of go with the flow and to be more observant versus, what's the word? Kind of like
Pushy.
Yeah, exactly.
My favorite thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And that makes sense too, because during that period, like mid-October to a little, short time before the eclipse, few days maybe before, I had been doing a lot more self-reflection, self-care, working on things internally more than the outward
Push.
that I do. It just
Yeah.
felt more natural. That's what I was comfortable doing. And I really felt like I didn't want to do all the other stuff
Yeah.
that I normally want
Yeah,
to do.
yeah.
So that's
Normally you're excited
interesting.
about the go.
I wonder how many other people were noticing that
That's-
over the last few
that
months
same
as our
thing. Yeah,
viewers
yeah.
reflect as well.
And quick question. So you said in October it was in Libra. Now, does that mean the one that just happened is also in Libra? Like, was it a full cycle or?
Yes. So all
Okay.
moon cycles, there's the monthly cycle, so the 2 weeks, so new moon, full moon, they're
Right.
connected and they're always in opposite signs. Not always, most of the time. There is some exceptions. And then it's always connected to a full moon 6 months from the new moon. So that Libra one in October was connected to this full eclipse
Because
six
it's on the
months
other
later.
side.
Right.
Nice. Okay, now I understand.
Interesting.
Okay, cool.
And when they talk about the moon changing signs, does that happen on the new moon that it enters into the new sign or?
So,
Or-
yes. But if you're looking at it 6 month cycles, so the new moon in, sorry, Aries will be affected in, so the one we'll have on the 8th, the eclipse, in Aries will be in October. The full culmination of it will be in October, which will be a full moon in Libra, which is the opposite sign.
Gotcha.
That makes
Gotcha.
sense.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay, that makes total
That
sense.
makes
Yeah.
a lot of sense. Yes, because with things like magical workings and things that I sometimes work with, it always feels like it's too short to do it in just that short cycle of, okay, we've got new moon intentions and then full moon. Did you manifest it? It doesn't lend towards the bigger
Yeah,
goals.
yeah.
I love that 6 months
6 month
later.
cycle.
What is
Yeah.
your 6 month focus
Yeah,
for
that makes
this
more sense.
moon?
Yeah.
And I always say, if you're going to use the short-term moon cycles for, work, make it be like smaller goals. So like, I want to get X and X done in the next month,
Yeah.
like stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then you'll look back and you'll see, oh, 6 months, it all came together.
Beautiful,
So
beautiful.
you chop it up into 6 little goals and boom, you're
Mhm.
good.
It becomes your action plan.
Yeah, nice,
Yes.
nice.
Right.
I like
Yeah.
it.
Fantastic. Yeah, very good.
So okay, so the solar one just happened.
Yes.
For tomorrow's
I'm
the solar
sorry,
eclipse.
lunar one
So
just
the
happened.
lunar
Sorry.
just
The
happened.
lunar just happened. Sorry, the lunar just happened. And what is that now? How does that affect people as a general? Like, is it the event itself or is it the timing?
It's just the energy, like probably that week before the 25th to all the way, April 8th is technically the eclipse site, this eclipse period. And probably that honestly, the rest of April, because Mercury retrograde happens in there too, people are going to be feeling the impacts of the eclipses.
Okay, all right. And so the lunar one, what would that do for someone? You said that affected the us, is that right? Or no, the me and we?
Yeah, so right now, what causes an eclipse when you're speaking in terms of astrology is the full moon and the new moon happened on the north node and the south node, which are points in time when the sun and the moon's axes hit the same spot.
Okay.
And those have to do with like karma and destiny and kind of where you're meant to move forward, and that would be the north node. And right now the north node is in Aries and the south node is in Libra. So collectively and individually, we are all moving towards more of an Aries energy, which is self. I am is Aries. Very pushy and let's move forward, let's not plan kind of like they just go. Libra, its opposite sign is we, the partner. So right now what it's doing is the universe is kind of shaking up partnership in a way that so we can be ourselves, I in the we. So it's kind of getting rid of patterns and not necessarily people. It can be patterns of codependency and kind of how we view relationship and whatnot, in the sign of Libra. So that's kind of what's going on.
That could be a really good focus for somebody that maybe is struggling with codependency or whether it's dependent on other people or dependent on other substances or whatever
Right.
that
All
need
of those
is
dependencies
that
can
they-
come from, yeah.
Yeah, that might be a great
Yeah,
6-month cycle
yeah.
of thinking of what to release.
And so now if that's this, so if that's the lunar, sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good. Sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say, so if the lunar, so this one, if the lunar is the I, we, then now we have the solar coming up
Uh-huh.
on the 7th, and what would that correlate to?
It's gonna really, because it's gonna happen in Aries. So that's about I. So it's a new moon in I am, or in Aries. And so, since it is an eclipse, we're not gonna have a lot of control over what happens to but it's gonna be a changing of self. It's depending on your karma and what you have to work through and whatnot. It can be different for everyone.
Okay.
But if the universe is a little more, I don't know if I want to use this word, kinder to you during that time, sometimes we don't have, it's external circumstances. But if it's more of a reflective cycle for people, I always say okay, write down who you are or what your value system is, and during that time, and kind of just see what manifests itself in the next 6 months.
Okay, so use the point to both look in a mirror and make a moment where you're like, this is who I am, so that in 6 months you can go, who am I now, because something's going to change.
Right. And if you're looking at the south node, the other, if you're strong in who you are, the right people will be around you. And the people who aren't supposed to be there, who, for whatever reason, will kind of fall off in one way or another.
And so when this north node is all about karma and destiny, what does the south node typically reflect?
The south node is past lives, and it's karma and patterns that we have to let go of that no longer serve us. So this cycle this is an 18-month cycle of Libra and Aries. The last one was Scorpio and Taurus, and that was a lot about value and ideas and issues around value. And interesting, during that period, if you kind of look back, a lot of lies, which kind of Scorpio rules lies, and the South Node was there. A lot of that came to the surface in the news and whatnot, scandals, that sort of stuff. So it was literally kind of exposing what needed to be released, if that makes sense. That was the example I have.
No, I like it. No, I like it. I like it. Like it allowed the lies to fall away so that you could see the truth.
Right, exactly.
Nice, nice.
So the South Node, to make it easy for people, it's what we need to let go of, kind of get rid of, excrete. And then the North Node is what we need to move towards. And ideally, you don't ever get rid of the South Node. It's more of a balance. Is it unbalanced?
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Very good. And are eclipses generally, is that a good time for reflection? I always think of the retrogrades as a good time to reflect too. Do we see that?
I say, my advice for eclipses is just go with the flow as best you can. Take things day by day. It's not a great time to, obviously we have to plan things because we're humans and we live in a human world and whatnot. But, if you can get away from being okay with just how things shake out, have very loose plans if you're planning. It wouldn't be the time I would implement something unless it just kind of happened, during that time.
Because I've always heard it's bad to set a plan during that time, but so if a plan kind of out of nowhere initiates, allow it to happen.
If someone you meet in a restaurant, gives you this great business opportunity or whatnot, I would definitely at least consider it. Because that's fated, and a lot of fated stuff happens during eclipses.
Interesting. Okay. That's good to know. That's great. Yeah.
Nice. And then with the solar eclipse, what energies do we notice? What comes out with the solar eclipse?
Well, the solar eclipse is a new moon, so it's going to be about kind of starting anew. And like I said before, since it's in Aries, it's going to be starting anew for self. And so what might come up for people is if you're not feeling good about yourself, if there's things that you need to change, that kind of stuff will be coming to the surface.
Okay. Okay.
And one thing I'll mention too, and this is kind of a little extra about the eclipse, is it's actually going to conjunct Chiron, which is the wounded healer in astrology. It's an asteroid, and that brings up people's wounds. So the eclipse is a good time, or that things are going to come up around people's trauma and wounds during that time.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's good to kind of maybe create space for that, to be able to look at it, to heal.
Right, exactly. This is a very healing eclipse cycle. So because that Chiron is being activated.
So being ready to actually do reflection and things that might be sensitive, instead of, as a general, we have a tendency to run from anything that touches those kind of pain points. Be ready to just actually accept it and go, look, this is, if I'm going to do it ever, this is a good time to do it.
Right. And Aries is one of those signs that's not patient, so it's not going to want to sit there.
The
And
ram. Ramming
and
its head.
yeah, and
Yes.
I think it's kind of cool because it all kind of worked out, and you'll find it does. Well, Mercury is being retrograded during that time, so it's going to make you almost slow down and reflect and revisit things, because the more you try to push forward, things are probably, you're going to get frustrated. It's just going to be a time of frustration.
Very interesting.
Interesting. Okay, that's good to know. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And with the effects of the eclipse, so it's always kind of fun to see when people are the solar eclipse chasers. I suppose we're doing that this time.
Yeah,
We're heading
we
into
actually-
Canada
Yeah.
To be in
Oh,
the.
you are? You're going to go see it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
We're
That's
shooting
cool.
over to near Niagara, and we're gonna catch a glimpse.
And yeah, last time
Cool.
it came through Michigan, but he
Yeah.
was in Arizona,
Yeah.
so he
I was on the other side, and she's like, "It was amazing." I'm like, "Gee, thanks."
So it made me curious. I was
Yeah.
wondering if there is a greater effect at times that might hit people or enhance people if they're in that zone of totality. I mean, it'll affect everybody,
Of
but would that
course.
enhance it?
Yes, the energy is stronger the more you're to that. I see that band, that goes through the
Yeah.
US
Yeah.
and up into Canada. And I do tell people that if the eclipse, this is why I think it's important for people to at least kind of know their chart. If the eclipse is going to be impacting you in I don't like saying the word negative, but a challenging way,
Right.
I wouldn't recommend someone to go see it. um just because you might be really feeling some of that stuff, because you're going to be there,
Because you're in the challenge.
right. That would be kind of like, oh, if they're really struggling, and maybe not ready for all that, I would okay, go vacation somewhere else.
Yeah.
Or take a trip. Yeah,
Away from.
right. Or at least stay in the house, and do your self-care.
Just hide. Go in the
Your
basement. Stay there.
do an Epsom salt bath. I don't know, something.
Right. And lots of candles. Lots of candles.
Right.
That's so funny. Yeah, as Kabbalists, one of the things that we often say, which a lot of times people will think, oh my gosh, no, not me. But one of the things we often say and recommend is to run to the challenges. Like if something's gonna push you, if it's gonna open up those wounds, if it's gonna be a hard thing, then to run towards
Chase it.
And when life starts to get too easy, you need to seek out
Go
the
find it.
challenge so that you can grow, because that's where our points of growth are. But that's not for everybody, and it's not for every point in your life either. So good self-care is often the more important thing, and other times that challenges.
Yeah, chasing challenge is good, but balance is good too.
Yes,
So.
you don't want to always chase challenges.
And balance actually is a good word for the Aries and Libra access, because it's, Libra does represent the balance. So yeah, just thinking about, how you're interacting this time. If you're checking in on yourself every day, am I balanced today? Is there harmony in my life? And if there's not, doing things that bring those two things could be helpful.
Well, and not just that, I mean, as a concept, that in and of itself is a challenge to do. So, I mean, if you're going to chase challenges, finding balance, especially during this time, so that when things do come, because you know they're coming, being in a point of balance means you're at the best state of dealing with these things and having them be observed in the best way possible to move forwards, kind of.
Right.
Nice.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice.
Yeah, beautiful.
I like it.
Yeah. The what things would somebody look for to know if it would be in like an advantage or if it would be a challenge with this?
Good question. So this, because it's in in Aries, it's going to impact the cardinal signs.
Okay.
So Aries, Capricorn, Libra, and Cancer.
Okay.
So if you have anything in those, your big three, so your rising, sun, moon, and any of those, it's going to either form an opposition or a square, which are the most challenging kind of aspects. So they're definitely going to be feeling it more. So that's something to look at. If if you have a lot in a fire sign, it's going to form more of a positive aspect because it's with Aries, so it trines. So you're a Leo, JJ, so like, yeah, I want to go see it.
Light that fire, baby.
Right.
Very good. And then that would be for the fire signs for people, whether it's rising or moon or
Yeah, and those are just different. So like your sun is like obviously the biggest part, who you are, your soul, your light, your moon's your emotional. And your rising's like your body. So, if it is, if you're like, so I'm a Cancer rising, so I actually won't be looking up at the eclipse. Just so I won't be doing that. But if people want to do that, more power to them. But so it'll be impacting my body that day.
Gotcha,
interesting. Yeah,
gotcha.
very interesting.
So staying definitely in home near all of the comforts is a good thing for you.
Definitely. And it actually squares my moon too. So there, a lot of emotional stuff will probably come up around that time.
Oh wow.
So yeah. So
Yeah,
I'm not going to
it's a
Canada
Reiki or
with you guys.
massage
Sorry.
or something.
I was gonna say, yeah. And you're less than super excited about this.
It's not that I'm not excited. I just
There's-
I'm just kind of like, okay, whatever's gonna come's gonna come. So
but you know it's coming. Yeah.
right.
Interesting.
Right.
And so fire is, so generally you were saying as the fire signs go, it's a good thing. So is there a variation of like you were explaining your Cancer is the body. So like what about some of the other signs that people would like want to look out for that wouldn't be ideal for?
So like for like the body, is that your question?
Well, that was like what other parts, like what other aspects would they affect?
So yeah, it could affect your body and I just said the big three just because those are the people usually know them.
Perfect.
So if it's gonna happen in your first house, so that would be an Aries rising, that would really impact your body, but it would trine it, so it would be a positive aspect.
Oh,
If
okay.
that or it would be it wouldn't negatively affect that. Yeah, I think I said that right. Sorry, I'm confusing myself.
No, that sounds right.
Yeah, and so yeah, and if you had like a Leo rising, it would be trining it because it's an Aries and they trine each other, so fire and fire.
Right. And so then your
signs?
no, I was just going to say like the different of like some of the other signs to see what they would get.
So and then like Libra, it's going to affect their body. Libra rising too, it'll be the opposite. That'll really affect relationships for Libra risings.
Okay.
Let's see, Capricorn, it'll affect them a lot, either their sun or and like I said, Cancer, it's going to impact them, and those will be squares, so they're not going to be as comfortable.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. It's fascinating because there's so many different details. It can be so
Yeah,
specific
yeah,
when
that's
you
right.
count the houses
Yeah,
and
I was
the
just, yeah, I was
planets
trying
and
to get
everything. It
generals,
can
but
be,
yeah. You're
Sorry.
doing, you're
Yeah.
making it generally great though. I have to say, it's
That's
awesome.
fantastic. Yeah, it's very good to know.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. And then you said, so, and then of course, Mercury, you said is in
Retrograde.
retrograde. And so, and what are we expecting with that after the solar?
So it's actually going retrograde on April 1st.
Okay.
And then it'll be retrograde through the 24th of April.
Okay.
And so what it's gonna do is it's gonna kind of activate our minds a little bit to be a little more, it'll bring challenges to communication and how we think. And so if you do have some things that come up in the eclipse season for you, and it's more of like a passive, like interchange kind of thing, I would definitely kind of meditate before, after, until Mercury goes direct again, before I move forward with anything I was going to change.
Nice.
Interesting.
Because that, but granted, some things just shake up and we have to, move with it.
Yeah.
But if you can wait and kind of like analyze and see how it goes. But the thing is Mercury is in Aries, so we want to push anyway. And now it's like, back it up. We, maybe some things we tried to push through, we might have to revisit. So
Yeah. And it, oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's just this. So in theory, so you're saying that we're going to feel like we want to move forwards,
mhm.
and that push that we feel we should really push against right now, or
Yes,
during the Mercury.
as best you can.
Yeah, nice. No, yeah, I got
Yeah.
you. But that's because I mean because most people go with what they feel is right in the moment,
Mhm.
and most of the time that works out. If they're with it, that works out well. But so in
Mhm.
this specific instance, we're going to feel like we want to move forwards, and that is
Mhm.
something we should definitely pull back against.
I was,
No, and I was just gonna say Aries is kind of aggressive. So when the Mercury is in Aries for everyone, we're a little bit more, we can have foot and mouth a lot. And so it might not work out as well when it's in retrograde. So we might get frustrated on getting our point across too.
Okay, interesting.
I always feel like Mercury in retrograde is a good time to make a conscious awareness of giving grace in communications too, because there's a lot of things that get stirred up. And so recognizing it's not just going on with the individual, with yourself,
right,
but with
but
everyone. So
everybody.
giving that grace can really help and help
Yeah.
you not get into trouble long term.
Maybe double
Right.
checking things. Are
Yeah,
you sure
double
you really want to do
checking,
that?
giving yourself time if you can. It's not a great time to overschedule, even though we'll probably want to overschedule. Making sure your car is maintained, traveling, if you have to travel during that time, there could be delays, just giving yourself, oh, okay, this might happen. So having a plan B and C and D if case something does.
Nice.
What things do you think people should be aware of as we're entering in this 18-month cycle? And what tips would you have?
So the 18-month cycle began in, I wrote it down so I wouldn't say it right, July 18th, 2023. And it'll be there, the North Node and South Node will be in Aries and Libra until January 11th, 2025.
Okay.
So that is the 18-month cycle of Aries and Libra. So what I also tell people is what was going on in December 2004 to June 2006, because that was the last time that they were in Aries and Libra. And so a lot of times the same kind of things will happen to you again.
Interesting.
Same, patterns or things you need to let go of, or, just if you look back in that time, you'll be like, oh, yeah, I know what she was talking about. um, yeah, so that'll give you kind of a clue on what to kind of focus on in your own individual life.
Interesting.
I have to say, I'm I don't know if I have any records that I can go back to. I'm dying to know what I was doing then. And I'm like, how would I figure that out?
So yeah, so you can also look at where areas in Libra are at in your chart too.
Okay.
So if they're in the fourth and the 10th house, you know, that has to do with career and your family. So maybe there was a lot going on between the balance of the two. So that can also give you a kind of a clue in where the energy is going to be for you individually through the
Oh, awesome.
cycle.
Awesome. Oh, okay. That actually, that's awesome. That helps. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Very cool. I'm so excited.
It's a wonderful path for reflection
Yes.
so that we can have the growth that we're looking for and moving into what we want to move into
Yeah,
in our lives.
yeah.
Think of
Right. And that's what, you know, some people get kind of scared about eclipses, but really it's kind of a gift that you, if you accept it, we all have free will. We can
Yeah.
fight this stuff, you know, until the day we die. But, you know, if we accept it, the change, it's actually a gift to go in the right path.
Yeah. Yeah.
yes, yes.
Yeah, one of the
exactly.
things that we found, and even like with the classes that we teach or when I'm helping and stuff, is that you tell someone, you know, this is going to be a lot of change, but a lot of work. And they just go, what? No. And it's just like, calm down. Your whole world is built up of these things, these moments. You know it coming up front. And it's like, I think they want to be blindsided most of the time. So I don't know, man. But it's like, yeah, I love it. I love the insight and the heads up. And yeah, I'm super excited about this.
Yeah.
This would be so cool.
Any other final things after that little
Yeah.
earthquake? Any other final things that you'd like to share with people? Or
I mean, no, I just kind of embrace the change that's going to happen, you know, and just know that if it feels, because sometimes eclipses can be very intense for people. If it is intense, you had the chart or the energy that you were born with because you were made to go through it. So it'll be okay.
yes,
Yeah.
that's always a good thing to remember. It's happening
Yeah.
for a reason. There are no accidents. Nothing lasts forever. If it feels like a really challenging time or really potent time and you're feeling all these emotions rising to the surface, be gentle with yourself.
Yeah.
Recognize this too shall pass. It is not forever.
Yeah.
And it is an amazing gift in itself. And it can be exciting when you look at it with that curiosity, that sense of adventure of what is this going to take me to? How will I grow through this? That's one of my favorite questions to ask during challenges. How will I grow through this?
Yeah.
What can I learn from this? How can I find or discover things about myself I didn't know before? And I think that
Right.
eclipses kind of give us that chance to see beyond that veil within ourselves, get to know that light and that creation energy within ourselves and take our lives to the next level as we continue going through these cycles as well.
Mhm.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
joining us today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm super excited. I can't wait for the next one.
Yes.
Yay.
Yes, we've had a lot of great feedback.
Yes.
We love to hear from all of you. If you guys have any questions that you want us to ask Caitlin, if you want us to bring her back again, let us know. Let us know what topics you're interested in as well. And we will look forward to the next time. Please remember to visit our website, earthandskyscenter.com. If you want to reach out to Caitlin about your chart, let us know. We'll put you in touch with her. I know she has a bit of a backlog with things. As you can see, she's amazing at what she does. And we will look forward to seeing you next week. Remember to like and subscribe. See you next week, everyone.